Hey everyone, Tyler here. Just wanted to go over a red Komodo-X build for you. There's been, I've made a few of these videos, but there have been some pretty major changes since the last one. And yeah, I know the Komodo-X is not a new camera by any means, but you know, with the Nikon Z mount version of it out there, I think it's still a really great camera, especially for an owner op. So if you are, trying to build out your Komodo-X, hopefully this video might inspire you to build it out similarly, or maybe not at all. But I also just like watching rig build videos, so even for camera systems that I don't own. So if that interests you, then let's go ahead and dive into it. So first of all, I just want to talk about the core of like how this is all built around, and that's around the Wooden Camera Elite accessory system. Wooden Camera did send this out to me free of charge to talk about and to really just provide feedback and make content for my audience if it is something that I do recommend. And since I'm making this video, clearly I do recommend this camera cage system. So it's got a base plate here. This is a 15 millimeter LWS base plate, and it's got an RE dovetail receiver on the bottom, which I very much appreciate. And then you have these side rails and top rails and all that stuff. And I'll leave a link to this in the description. You can see all the parts that come with it, and I'll leave links to everything else that I talk about in this video as well. But this is kind of the core of it. It's a ton of mounting places and a lot of versatility in terms of the RE dovetail plate receiver on here and rods and all that kind of stuff. So I really do like this system quite a bit. So that's kind of the core of the system. And then from here on out, I think I'm just going to kind of move my way from the back of the camera and just talk about things as we go forward. So yeah, that said, let's go ahead and jump into the battery. I typically I pretty much exclusively run the Core SWX batteries, and this is their Nano X battery. It's a really great battery. I've made quite a bit of content on these batteries in the past, so I'm not going to go into any more detail in this video. Now that is attached to this caddy made by Wooden Camera, and this is to hold the Teradek Bolt 6. And I really like the Bolt 6 system. I've also made content on the Bolt 6 system specifically, and the technology that's used that differs from different wireless systems. So I encourage you to check that out as well. But I really like the system. This is the one without any antennas, external antennas, and I prefer that. And I go into that in my Bolt 6 video. So I encourage you to check that out if you are interested in that. And then what this has is a couple DTAP ports on here on this caddy, and that just allows you to plug in a LEMO. I use a DTAP to 2-pin LEMO to power the Bolt 6 transmitter right here. Now what the caddy is attached to is this D box, and this is kind of like the power command central of this whole system. So what this does is this has a ton of I/O and expansion abilities that I think really just make the Komodo-X like a much more production ready type camera. So it's got some 2-pin LEMO outs on the top, and some are 12 volt, one's 24 volt. And then on the other side, it has on the top, it has two other connections that are I/O. So one goes to the EXT port on the actual Komodo-X, and then the other one has a port that connects to this right here, and this is their B box. So what this does is basically it splits up the EXT port, all the functionality that's built into the EXT port. What it does is it splits it out into their own individual ports. And this isn't unique to Wooden Camera. There are other companies that make this, but I just like how everything is really well integrated with this D box and all that. Now, what I primarily use on the B box are the timecode port and this run stop port right here. So timecode, pretty self-explanatory. I always love to use timecode no matter what. And I use the Deity TC1 timecode boxes. I love that. And it has the more standard 5-pin as opposed to using EXT. And then this run stop, this is really cool. So this run stop port, this red cable here is going over to this Kinefinity SDI Eagle SDI E viewfinder, I think is what it's called. So this is providing power to the viewfinder, but it's also giving the ability to do run stop. And this EVF has a record button on the top, so I can actually trigger record from the EVF itself, which is super handy. And this EVF is just connected to the SDI loop out of the Bolt 6. So that's another reason why I really like the Bolt 6 system. So what I'll do is I'll send a clean feed into the Bolt 6 so that if I'm using this like, you know, either it's a client monitor or I'm doing like, you know, a live album recorder or a live broadcast or something like that, this is sending the clean signal out to the board or to the client monitor or whatever. And then for me, when I'm running shoulder mount, I'll just use the built-in tools like the false color and the waveform or focus peaking or something like that built into the EVF. So it's got the tools that I need to make sure that I'm in focus and, you know, not overexposed and whatnot. And I've become a huge fan of EVFs over the last year. So that's pretty much how I use the B-Box here, but it is nice to have Genlock here. And then if I didn't have the DSMC through monitor, then I would have a dedicated camera control port right here. But again, I don't use those really because I have the DSMC through monitor and haven't really had a need for Genlock in any of the productions that I use. But it's nice to know that I can offer that up if a production needs it. Now under that, I have this XLR adapter. I've had this like ever since it came out. It's the mid 49 XLR adapter, and the only way I can get it to fit is having the XLR ports pointed down. But I have this little, you know, super thin right angle XLR cable, and it being right angle doesn't interfere with anything, and that's just connected to the NTG5, and this is just super helpful for reference audio, or I mean, this microphone sounds awesome, so for running gun type stuff, audio sounds really good. And then I have a second XLR here in case I want to run a wireless lav like the Deity Theos or something like that. So that's pretty much that. Everything here, I think I've covered pretty much everything over on this side. Now right here, I've got this Tilta Nucleus Nano 2 side handle attached to a Condor Blue rosette swivel mount thing. I've got mixed feelings about it. It's kind of needed to get the handle out a little bit so it clears the XLR, but it's also just like, it's just very wobbly, and I don't know. I've got mixed feelings on it. The handle I really like. I just wish I could connect it to the camera somehow to trigger record, and maybe that's possible, and I just haven't figured out how to do that. So if anybody in the comments knows how to do that, please let me know or link me to a video. But this is just really nice because I can control focus from here, and that is obviously being communicating with the Nano 2 motor right here. And right now I've got the Laowa Ranger 17-50 on here. I really like this lens. It's a great, you know, running gun type lens. It's obviously manual focus, but I don't rely on the autofocus in the KOMODO-X ever. I just don't think it's that good. Other people have different experiences, but I've never found it to be reliable. So I prefer manual focus anyways, and this is just really nice because this is a side handle that's already there being used as a side handle, and being able to control focus is really nice to just to have it right there. And then this is attached to this PL adapter. This is called the Mofage Poco, and what's really cool about this is it actually has a VND, a rear VND in it, so it kind of gives you internal NDs on a PL adapter. I have the EF one as well, not from Mofage, the Canon one. But this is just nice to have a variable ND behind the lens so that you don't have to run a matte box or variable ND on the front of the lens. And then it comes with a clear tray as well if you are indoors and don't need NDs. Super solid, it's PL, it's rock solid. And it also has gear teeth right here, so you could actually run a motor to it if you wanted to you know, if you're running primes, for example, and you just dedicate, you know, your zoom function to the ND, then you could have your ND on a wireless follow focus system. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't typically run it on this small of a tripod head, but I'm using a bigger tripod head for the camera I'm using to film this video right now. But that's pretty much it. Nothing else really to report other than it has been rock solid, and I love this whole system. Everything is kind of neat and tidy. Oh, and I guess I forgot to mention I'm using these Condor Blue cable ties. to just help with cable management, and you know, with the exception of like these two cables, this is a super clean and tidy camera rig, which is really helpful because just dropping in a doctor bag or, you know, moving around tight spaces, there's just very few opportunities for things to get snagged on it and whatnot. So that's pretty much all I have for you for this video. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments below. But this is quite a functional rig, and it pretty much serves any purpose that I need. And you know, every shoot's different, so I might change things up here and there, but for the most part, this is pretty much how I run the camera all the time. The only exception is if I need to strip it down for a hard mount or something like that, but otherwise this is pretty much how I show up on set with this camera. So hope you found this helpful or useful. I will leave links to all this stuff down in the description below, and once again, big thank you to Wooden Camera for sending all of this elite accessory system over to me. So yeah, see you in the comments, or see you hopefully in the next video. Peace.